Okay. Yep. So I will firstly need to test this thing. Yeah. So just give me a minute. How can I share? So today I'm going to be using the ZAS Environment version 1.0.4 to refactor one of my projects. One of the projects I did, it was not necessarily mine. I want to refactor it to follow the ZAS specification. So I'm going to start writing the code. So what this project is about is, okay, it's called let me firstly ensure that okay, that means I can hear myself properly. So with that said, let me share the link. Yeah, there's a football team here. So let me share the link in with my friends, and yeah, hopefully you can follow me. No, this is something that I've worked on, and I really want to see how it works. I really want to see how it works. So I want to see the difficulties that will arise as I use my own tool, and see how I can manage, or how I can follow my own specification that I wrote. You know, if you have not if you have not used the whatsoever you created, you can't be able to tell whether this thing is easy to use or it is difficult to use, etc. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to let's say use my own tool. Okay. So right now you can see my VS Code, and I've not started yet. So I'm going to be re-implementing this particular project called Steady Smart. You can see firstly the naming convention doesn't follow ZAS. So I'm going to share my browser so that we go to the actual documentation of the ZAS environment. I have not yet completed the documentation, but there are some code I want to copy, just like the way we use normal APIs and things like that. So there is a way to create a ZAS project, or ZAS environment project, but let's say ZAS project in PHP. So it's down here, right here. So I'm just going to copy this one, and I'm going to now come here and in the terminal, let me paste that there. The project name will follow the convention, so we're going to say Steady Smart, like that. And let's see what we get. Okay, we are about to start this thing. So overall, I'm going to in addition to, oh, I have not shared the browser window. Yeah, that's it. So I ran the command that I copied from there, composer create project, leave as one and slash zasenv, and then this is the name, study smart. We are following the convention in ZAS. And then finally we can go ahead to see what we have created. So here it is. There it is. So now let's go back to the documentation. Let's go back to the documentation. There are some things I have to do first of all. So yep, that's it. Let me see, creating my project. So yeah, after I've done this one, I'm trying to follow this documentation as if to say I don't know anything. So yeah, okay, let me see. After that, you need to update the root directory in the ZAS config.json. This file has been renamed, so I will update the documentation. To do this, open your project's root folder in the terminal and run the following command: PHP ZAS update root path. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try to open, so let's say code study smart. Let's see if we open a new code window. Okay, it has opened. That means I will have to now share the new code window. Yep. Yep. So I need to reshare. Let me just add it here quickly. Is window capture. I want it to be VS Code window. So I'm using the OBS streaming software. Yep, good. I can just take it from here. Yeah, I'm sure you can see it now. So let me maximize it, and we follow the. We are going to follow the documentation. We need to update the root path first. So the root path is in the ZAS configuration. This is where everything happens. Here is the root path. It is still zasenv, so I need to update that. So I'm going to say PHP ZAS update root path. Okay, good. So now we have updated the root path. So this is just the root directory of my project. So when I'm making classes and making other files, this is going to be the root for that. So as oh, someone has unplugged my charger. What? Can someone just give me a minute? Wow.
Alex.
Huh?
Checking send
Song. I said. Hadi mko na kushuta hapo nikasahau natumia sasa ingia.
Okay, so we're back. So we have updated the root path. Like I was saying, this is the path where when we are creating other files, things will be placed relative to this path. Now, when you look at the ZAS specification, what I will do, I will try to share my browser again so that we look at the ZAS specification. So here, yeah. So let's look at it on GitHub. I'm just going to look at the overview. So yeah, this is it. So you can see there is the root directory, and then there are the supporters and the actors. So supporters are things that will support the actors. The actors are the things, are the codes, or let's say the processes that do the actual work on the server. An actor will have maybe a side effect. No, an actor must have a side effect. That is, it must have an output, or maybe it must have, let's say, some changes to configuration. Now, for supporters, they may not have a side effect. Like you can have modules or classes, because for me, I call them classes. So let's say modules or classes, these things, they don't have side effects. When you create or when you run a class file, it doesn't have any output or any changes to the system. So it's just it has no side effect. But then you have other things like configurations that will change the state of your current system. So supporters may or may not have a side effect. Now, supporters by default should not be accessed by HTTP requests and responses. So you can see that this blue line is telling you where the HTTP requests go and where the responses come from. So the actors, they are divided into two. This is a process. You specify this process on your own. Things like authenticator, maybe it's a middleware, you want to update the state of this request, or maybe just update some variable in your system that is global. Let's say when someone is logged in, you want to set the user ID maybe. This is where you do it, or it's up to you. You decide how you implement this process that will be accessible to everything below it. And the same thing here. And I will tell you how this is used. This setup is used in the current ZAS Env. Like you'll see that I implemented it in my own way. It's the same thing for you. This is just about a specification. So we have the background. So in the background, we have things that will execute on the server through CLI. They are not to be initiated by HTTP and HTTP requests and responses. So that means the files you put in here, they can only be called by cron job, or maybe on the server, or by some foreground process, but they can never be initiated by a background process or an HTTP request or responses. So let's say you want to have some process that send emails, or maybe clean the database. These things will be placed behind here. And now you can see authenticator, for example. This authenticator is let's say you only want cron job to call certain background processes. You don't want it to be called by a foreground. So you could implement some logic that will check if the caller of the particular file is cron or not cron, and you will figure out how to implement that. Now, foreground, this is where HTTP responses and requests come and go from. Let's say HTTP requests come here and responses leaves this place. So here you could have your router. So this is where we are going to have every request being redirected to. If you want to have an index.php or an index here, where, or the main file or the entry point of your application will be here, because this is where every request should go. You should implement that on your server, such that this is the document root of your web application, or your HTSS file can help you do that if you need. Oh, okay. I hope you can hear me now. My background music was louder than my voice. Okay, thank you so much, Susan, for helping me correct things. Okay, so with this, let's say you want to have controllers. This is where you put your controllers. These controllers will access the classes from here. Yeah, so as you can see, supporters, they will support the actors when they are doing their jobs. Let's say like that. Yeah, that's the whole thing about the actor supporters arrangement, as I called it here, actor supporters arrangement. So now with this, let's now go back to our actual new study smart we are going to be, to implement. Yep, so we are back here. We have updated the root path. You can see these are the actors, these are the supporters. So Now, the autoloader.class.php, for now, I'm not going to talk about this. Maybe, but if you look at it, it's really fast because it's not like checking every folder to see if the file exists. It is like just using a specific set of logic. We can say the complexity is technically order of one, but that's not really it because we have rejects happening. But I've tested the speed and it's in like 0.00 microseconds most often, 0.0003 microseconds to load a file, etc. So it's pretty fast. And now the setup that we saw in the like under the API in ZAS, this is the setup here. So this setup does nothing but just require the autoloader. Now the autoloader doesn't just only include itself. So let's say if you have if you use other packages in from Composer, this autoloader will register its own autoloader and also register the one for vendor autoload, this one here. So you don't have to worry about autoloading. It will already be registered, so you can use a package from a vendor, let's say some package on Composer, or you could use your own. It can load your own classes and interfaces, etc. So with that said, let me now get into the actual work of refactoring the code. Okay, so maybe I'll take you around. Here we go. We have our ZAS configuration. So let me just walk you through the ZAS configuration. We are saying every class should have an extension .class.php. Every abstract class should have an extension .aclass.php. Interfaces should have extensions .ifc.php. Threads should be .thread.php. And you don't have to do all of this. It will be done by the it will be done by the ZAS tool itself. And now background processes. This should be the foreground extension, and this should be the background extension. But during the actual implementation, I didn't use these extensions, so we won't see them having BKG. They will all have .php. So configurations, we have .conf, etc. And then the path. We will place all classes in supporters/classes. So in this folder, that's where classes will be. And by default, you will see ZAS itself. There are classes here for the ZAS command line tool itself. So these ones, you don't have to touch them. You just focus on your actual code. I'm going to update the ZAS tool such that when you make this thing a production environment, it will actually go ahead to delete itself. So it will delete itself from everywhere that it is, so that you don't have ZAS in your actual application. Maybe in the future, someone might want to use it as an exploit. Yeah. So we will have to remove it later on. But for now, I think it does the job just better. These ones are a little bit technical, and I don't want to explain what they are doing here. I just want us to know the paths when we create a new interface or an abstract class or a constant class, where they will go. So let me just explain a constant class. A constant class is a class that have a private constructor, and it just has a lot of constants. I could use an enum, but enum is supported by PHP 8, and I want this thing to be available for PHP 7. So that's why I just use a class, but then this class have only constant classes, like only constants, yeah. And for example, maybe let me show you the one we had in ZAS itself. If you come to constants, you'll see ZAS. This is the namespace. So yeah, this is it, ZAS constants, and this is how they will be named. All constants will be named ZAS constants, or any name you give it, but then it will have constants at the end of it. So these are just list of constants that I use, but then you can see that the constructor is private, so that someone does not go ahead to create or an object of the constant class. And you can see how it is named, zas.const.php. Yeah, you are going to see a lot of this. This is how constants are named, and that is done in the configuration file. You can see here, zas. This is the constants class, yeah, zas.const.php. Now, if we might walk through this ZAS configuration file, but I think it's the backbone of the whole ZAS itself, and it's open source, so you can add your own functionality to the ZAS command line tool if you want, but that means you have to write the code yourself, because I didn't give you a place to put your own commands and what to do. I just left it open, and yeah, so that people have freedom and they know what is doing what. You don't have to read a lot of documentation. You can just read a little bit and then start working. So with this said, let me now do the real work. So the first thing, have I shared the other window? Let me add another window here. Let me add another window for showing the previous studied smart. It's gonna be VS window 2. I want to show you the previous studied smart that I had. Yep, this one. So you can see this is the previous studied smart. When you look at it, you see that I got inspired from this. You can see how I named my classes category.class.php, and these projects that I did over and over and again actually inspired the new, like the ZAS framework itself. And that a framework, the ZAS specification. I don't like to call it a framework because it is not a framework. So I try to do things like dependency inversion. So I wanted to have this database interface so that objects can use the database interface, which of course I didn't do. Now in this other one, let's do that. But we are going to put a little bit of dependency injection. So what we'll do, we'll say we will have things called engines. Yeah. So let's say we have an email, right? Or let's say a mailer class. This mail is supposed to send mails, but we don't know which underlying API we are using. Are we using Gmail, or are we using okay, there is the PHP mailer that does that. However, we are going to use PHP mailer as the engine for the particular mailer itself that we are going to be using. So this helps you, maybe if you are using a different logic for mailing, you can just inject the mailing engine into the mailer itself, and then now we can go ahead to, call the methods that have been defined on an engine client. Let's say we're going to say an engine client. So an engine client is an object that uses an engine. Yeah. So for example, if we have a database, we can create the database engine, and this database engine that we're going to create will the database engine will kind of let's say define the structure of a database. So we can have the MySQL engine. Yeah, you can have the NoSQL engine, the one that is based on Firebase. You could have the MongoDB engine. You could have the Postgres engine. So now when we create a new database manager, the database manager is an engine client. So we will have to inject which type of engine it uses. So if the user is saying DB manager insert into database, the user class doesn't know whether the DB manager is running a Postgres database engine, or it is running or MySQL database engine. You see that kind of decoupling. So when we want to change the engine, you can just plug the new engine you have created into the engine client, which is the database manager, and yeah, your application works fine. So you only have to change one part of it. So that sounds sweet. With that said, let me go and create the database engine interface in our new study smart. Oh wow, nice, eh? So I'm going to say PHP ZAS make. Like I wanted to make things to be like sentences. I didn't want to put dash f dash this colon that all around the place. So you will see things they look like sentences, eh? So PHP ZAS make interface. Now you want to put the namespace of the interface. We are going to put this in the engine namespace. Engine namespace because it's an interface, so we will have different type of engines like SMS engine. So SMS engine will help you maybe if you are using an SMS provider for Kenya, and then you are using another SMS provider for Tanzania, let's say. So when you check the person's phone number, you can plug the engine into the SMS engine client. That will use whichsoever engine you have plugged in to send the SMS. So if the present phone number is actually a Tanzanian phone number, then you can just go ahead and use the Tanzanian SMS engine. Or if the present phone number is a Kenyan phone number, you can go ahead to use the Kenyan SMS engine. But they all will be used by a single SMS engine client that you don't have to know the type of the engine you are using before runtime. You can just use the actual phone number control code to have an engine factory that will return the type of engine. That sounds complex, but it's not complex, and we can just go ahead to, let's say, make this thing work. So PHP ZAS make interface. This is the namespace engine / database engine. Database engine. Yep. Now, every interface will have interface appended to them. So this thing will actually be database engine interface. Yep. So it's going to be database engine interface. So let's create that. Yep. Making engine database engine successfully created database engine interface, and we're good. So let's go to the interfaces and see the engine namespace. We have database engine interface. Now, see something here. Do you see the naming convention? There is no underscore, there is no uppercase, nothing. It's just like that. Yeah. So, and an interface has .ifc, like the one I showed you in the ZAS configuration. So this thing is actually following the ZAS naming convention. Everything is lowercase, and the container extension should at least reflect what it does from the organizational context. So you might have been working in an organization that says every interface will have .xt, .php, and that will be it. Yeah, you have interfaces that have .xt, .php, all of them, and this ZAS thing will help you implement that. You just have to go to the configuration and change ifc to .xt or xt.php, and we're good. So let's start from here. And secondly, you see things like this. This one here, you don't want to touch it because the comment will tell you they are required by ZAS for code insertion. So in the future, maybe you will want to, let's say that this interface extends another interface, but you don't want to come here again. So let's say you want to create another interface, and then you want to say it's used by, yeah. You could say maybe -ub used by. I've not implemented this command. Is used by, then you do engine database engine. So if this interface is used by, you have to specify whether it's an interface or not. So probably we might just have to put interface there. Yeah, then now we'll just come here and say interface database engine extends this. And then if this thing is in another namespace, the namespace will be placed up here. With that, this has not been implemented yet, so we'll work with what we have. I just want to see how it is to use my own app, my own stuff, and maybe, yeah, see the problems that arise. So we're going to say public. We want the database engine to have a query method, and then we have an array parameters, because we don't know how many parameters will be passed. Let's say for an SQL engine, maybe MySQL engine. I don't know how you will implement your engine, but so far so good. When we are passing, you will have to decompose the array and pass your parameters in array, so that at least we can be able to cover up every other possible engine without, let's say, kind of putting a fixed length parameter here, and we don't know how many parameters will be required by the different engines. So we're going to say public function insert. It's supposed to be params. Public function delete. Array, we're going to say params again, right? It's up to the engine to know which parameter is using. Public function update. Yep. So this time we want to be commenting things here. I'm using an extension called is it PHP doc? Yeah. So we're just gonna put something here. It's a for querying the underlying database. Yeah. And then it said insert into the underlying database. Probably we might not finish this thing before 12 tonight. But yeah, at least we're gonna have some good way of organizing our methods and things like that, so that we can have decoupling implemented on a very high level. Good. So delete from the underlying database, and then finally we might not make this thing extremely, because like you can see I've not even sat down to think about the structure of this application. I'm just doing what comes to mind. So some of these methods might not be used, but so far so good. At least we have the overall picture, and we are refactoring something. Okay, so we're gonna say update the underlying database. Maybe data, let's say, like that. So we have our database engine interface. Yeah, this is good. And it's in the namespace engine. Now, there's something I want you to know. From the ZAS specification, everything should be in lowercase. So even if this namespace, the namespace corresponds to the directory, so you can see directory engine here. That's why we have namespace engine. If we had maybe engine client, an engine client, it would all be in small letter. It would be ENGINECLIENT. There will be no cambia case. But then in the actual file, that's where you see the cambia case thing. So just remember that it's just following the ZAS convention itself. Yeah. With this said, let's go to make the engine client. So what can an engine client do? This is where the thinking comes in. So an engine client can use an engine, right? So an engine client should have the set engine method. So we're gonna say PHP ZAS make interface engine client. So this is gonna be in the engine client namespace, because you can have a lot of engine clients in your application, like SMS engine clients, a lot of engine clients, eh? And then we're gonna have the parent engine client itself. So which is gonna be engine client, interface engine client. Now this thing here is saying the namespace is engine client and the interface is engine client interface. If I put interface here, it won't still affect the outcome. So I don't want to waste my time. Let me just do PHP ZAS make interface engine client, and engine client uses or the an engine, yeah. So with this said, is there anything I can do here? Is there any command? No, I'm not going to add any command. Just going to do that. So yeah, we do have an engine client, and we have the engine client interface. So our engine client interface has one method. It's called set engine. So you must be able to set the engine, and this will actually set an engine. Okay. We're gonna say engine. So the problem with this is that we don't have the general engine type. So let me go ahead and have the general engine interface itself, ENGINE. So engine, yeah. So we now have the engine interface. Yeah, okay. So what does an engine interface have? It doesn't have anything. Database engine extends engine interface.
It's as if
Yeah,
my
yeah,
my pad
good.
said we'll
So
fill
so
an
that they all have the type
engine. The
engine,
X just
then we can
fails.
have engine interface there. So yeah. Now anything that implements the engine interface is an engine interface. So a database is an engine interface.
Aye.
Now I don't know why this thing is not properly formatted. Yeah, I think there's an error in ZAS. Yeah, so there's a formatting error here. We'll fix that.
Last minute.
So this thing was added by ZAS itself. Now you can see this it actually replaces this UNS use namespace with this. Yeah. So engine client uses no. Now I see. I see. Okay, let's make it interesting here. I'm going to delete. Should I delete it? No. This one was actually brought in by VS Code, not the actual ZAS itself. So I should not be excited. Don't wonder why it wasn't formatted properly. So with that, let's update this one. Set the engine of the engine client. So I'm going to be copying code here and there, so that I don't have to write the same thing over and over again. And this thing returns void. It's not going to return anything. Good. So we have the engine client interface, and it's yeah. With that said, we're good with the interfaces. Now it's time to create the actual database manager. The database manager is an engine client. That means we'll be able to plug the type of engine we want, whether it's MySQL engine or it is Postgres engine or NoSQL engine. It's up to us. So we're gonna say PHP. Let me clear this thing. PHP ZAS make. Now this is a class, yeah? And this class is called it's an engine client. I'm thinking whether we should put it in the engine client namespace or we should just leave it general. No, let's put it in the engine client namespace. If we don't put it in the engine client namespace, it is going to be all over the place. Like it's going to be in the root namespace, and when we have other files, they will all be in the root namespace. So since we have multiple type of engine clients, let's put this one in the engine client namespace. So we're going to say engine client. Now, in the classes folder, there is no engine client. So just remember that we only have the ZAS namespace, but then it will be created. So don't worry about it. So we're going to call this DB manager, database manager, and this database manager doesn't have any parent, but it implements -i. It implements the engine client interface, which is in the engine client itself. So we say engine client, engine client. Engine client still. You don't have to worry about the interface. So yeah, okay, good. So successfully created engine client database manager. Now, is there an error somewhere? Oh no, there's no error. So engine client database manager. Okay. Yep. Now I don't know. Now let me see where the error is coming from. Yep, set engine is not compatible with method engine client. Okay, why is it not compatible? Now I'm thinking, why is it not compatible? So engine interface. Oh yeah, we have to put use namespace here, engine interface. Now this one is not handled by ZAS itself. You have to be the one handling that. So you don't want to touch that thing. You don't want to touch the UNS. So we're just gonna say use engine client, engine client interface. Yeah, like that. So we are using the engine client interface. Good. So we have our DB manager that implements engine client interface. It doesn't have any traits for now. So if there are traits, they will be implemented. They will be put here like use trait, UT, and don't touch this one. And probably for me, I like to put my properties ahead of this. So I'm going to be taking a look at I'm going to be looking at let me see if I can split my screen. No way, no way. Yeah, like that. And I'm going to use the actual DB manager itself. So now I don't know why. I don't know why it is on the right of okay, okay. This is something I'm still even trying to figure out um, how I can put this window on the left and have this one inside. So let me see what I have here, what you are seeing currently. Cool, good, good, good. I can just put it on the side. Yeah, I think you can see both of them now. I'm sure. I'm sure you can see both of them. So with that, let me go down to yeah, good. We have both of them on the screen. So I'm just gonna be copy pasting now. I don't want to. Okay, let's do private. So private. Um, it's gonna be some engine interface. Yeah. An engine interface gonna be engine. So then we can set our engine. So we say this set engine engine like that. Okay. But let me see if I can copy this.
No. How is that possible? I say it's like I'm a cow. On his legs.
Okay. Yep. I think with this said, yeah. Let me continue from here. Yep. Let me continue from here. Yep. Okay. We have spent approximately. Yeah. So now there's another thinking that goes in here. We know an engine interface has. Now I'm thinking how to decouple. Okay. okay, I could put the steady smart credentials in an environment .config file,
As in, even if
but
you know what
I
to
don't think that will be uh,
it's
for
like
now. This is a
you
very
know
little
what to
project, eh?
like
So we're just going to put
what
the
to
configurations
make
in
the
there.
defender like stay
We should
constant.
not struggle, or should we?
You
Yeah,
know what
it's
you
going to
know
be fun,
what.
right? We can
So I'm just
create
asking you.
a utility file. Should we create a utility class that has functions for different types of stuff? So you could have configuration utility. They just have static methods, even though you want to avoid static methods as much as you can. But then for now, we can have a utility file that reads our .env, right? Um, yeah, but then that would mean we do some little work. So I'm not going to have the utility file to read the .env. We will have the utility file later on, but for now we are going to put the configurations in one of the database engine. So we are going to create a database engine. Um,
Hey there.
it's going to be called MySQL engine. Yeah, let's make MySQL engine. PHP ZAS make class. There's gonna be an engine client. It's not an engine client. No, it's not an engine client. It's an engine. It's in the engine namespace. So PHP class, PHP ZAS make class engine. And it's gonna be MySQL engine, and it implements the
If it's so real right now,
engine slash engine. Is it? No, it's a database engine, right? So it implements the database
you do statistics.
database engine.
Hey,
What's it the database engine? Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I've forgotten the name. Okay. Now that's the thing about having a lot of abstractions. Database engine interface. Good. We're good. We're good with that. So you can already see things are separating themselves a lot quite quickly. For now, it's gonna be a little bit hard to keep up with, but trust me, in the future, it's gonna be very really easy to maintain such systems. Um, so PHP ZAS make class engine MySQL engine dash I. We are implementing the engine. Yeah. So let's look at what we have in the engine namespace. So I was the little update I made to this was so that it adds these methods that you are to implement when you implement an interface. So since we have that in the database engine, that's why we are seeing it being implemented here. Now with this, I am going to start working on. I'm going to start like copying directly from what we had in the database manager and putting it here. Okay. Um, so we are working with a PDO connection. Oh, it's not our business to know whether you can connect or not. If you have to make a query, you definitely want to connect. So I'm going to leave it like that, and we're going to say, should we put because PDO can have different type of connections actually. So we could put the because you don't want to repeatedly implement this connect method over and over and again. So what I'm thinking, like there's another abstraction I want to do here because what I'm thinking is, you see, this what's the name? This connect you are looking at here is a PDO connection, and we already know PDOs can be They can be MySQL, they can be Postgres, etc. So I kind of I'm thinking, I'm thinking whether we can make this PDO trait. We can say huh, uses PDO trait. I don't know. Then in the PDO trait we have the connect method that will definitely now mean something like the driver type, etc. The name. That means those things like the name, all of those stuff must be in the user of the trait, else the trait will crash. So I don't want to do a very high. Should I do a very high coupling here? Now that's the interesting part, thinking about it and thinking about the best design approach to take. Is for me, I think I found that really interesting. Huh. Wow. What do we do? What do we do, guys? What do you think we should do? Me, I don't know. I definitely don't know. I want to put this thing in a trait, but also we want to demonstrate the abilities of ZAS, right? So probably we can put it in a trait. Maybe we can put it in a trait, and yeah, let's put it in a trait, man. Okay, even though for this current system we have a single engine, which is the MySQL engine, but then you might want to have Postgres engine, you want to have NoSQL engine. Okay, Postgres, yeah. So you can use Postgres with PDO and other things like ODB, Microsoft database. So I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm thinking, should we put it in a trait, man? Should we put it in a trait? Okay. Should I put it in a trait? Now, putting it in a trait means that these properties have to be set because you don't want to call the connect method of an engine and then you have to put all of this there. So, what I will do, I'm going to have an abstract SQL engine. Yeah. Now that's where we start abstracting things. I'm going to have an abstract SQL engine. So my SQL engine extends abstract SQL engine, and now every abstract SQL engine implements the PDO or have the PDO trait, right, guys? We're good. We are good. So I'm going to go ahead first, and I'm going to leave this like this. Let's do that. That's going to be beautiful. So we're going to say Control B. I don't know. I don't know whether you are able. Wow. Yeah. So now I'm going to start with let's see our folder structure. Control B. Yeah. So we're gonna say PHP ZAS make abstract class. So we're gonna say AB class, AB class. PHP ZAS make AB class, and this AB class is an SQL engine. Huh? So hence it will have it's an abstract SQL engine. So it's gonna have that trait. It's gonna use that trait, but yeah, it's gonna use that trait, and it is going to be the parent of MySQL engine, right? That makes sense. So let's do that. So we're gonna say PHP ZAS make AB class. Yeah. Um, it's an abstract class, so you don't have to say abstract SQL engine. It's going to be named abstract SQL engine. So we're gonna call it engine, and this is SQL engine, but it's actually abstract SQL engine, and that will be the name later on. So we will say PHP ZAS AV class engine SQL engine. Now this is gonna have a trait -t. This trait will also be created if the trait doesn't exist, so don't worry about it. And we are going to be implementing a trait called PDO user. And PDO user will be in hey, which namespace should we put PDO user in? We're just gonna call it. These are just they just have it's a particular type like component. Which namespace? Like if you put PDO, um, we can't put PDO in the engine namespace. It's not an engine. It's just a type, eh? So we can say we are putting it in the. We're going to say component, yeah? It's a component. It's not like a component, but it's an object on its own, and it has some methods. So how where can we put this thing? Let's say. Should we put it in the root namespace? But I'm sure there will be other types. Like for now, we have PDO type. Yeah, there will be other types that we want to use that we have common methods. So we can just put them in some interface. It's not interface in some namespace like component PDO components use components PDO user trait. PDO user trait. Uh, mm, mm. We know that PDO is specific to an engine. So no, PDO is not an engine. So I'm gonna just put it in the components, eh? In the components. So it's in the components in the components namespace. So we say components actually PDO. What's a PDO? Let's use lowercase. PDO client. A PDO client uses a PDO. So we're gonna say PDO client. Yeah, it uses dash. Yeah, it uses PDO client. Yeah, dash T. Let's see what we get. So we have trait PDO client and abstract class SQL engine. So with this said, we can now go ahead to actually work on the traits. Traits are in the traits folder, as you can see. Let me look for the traits folder. Yeah. So components, we have PDO client traits. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, there you go. So we have a method called public function connect. Now connect. Now we are going to copy what we have in this connect method. We're going to copy what we have in this connect method and paste it in the PDO client traits connect. Now we have to be specific that we are using PDO. So let's use PDO. Yeah. Now there's something I want you to be cautious of. We need the host. So this one here won't be MySQL. We're gonna call it this this driver. This driver. So the driver now can be either MySQL, blah blah blah, Postgres, anything. Good. With options, this one should be in the abstract SQL engine. So now that we have this, let's do some little stuff. Just return nothing. Connect, create a. Now I want to put some comment here. It's highly coupled to the abstract engine. To the like should we even have put it in a treat? Because we could just put it we could put the connect method in the abstract class itself. Because this particular trait here is extremely coupled to the. I'm deleting this one. I'm deleting this one. It is not useful. Let me just copy. Let me copy my method first, before I delete it. It's not useful. Like, it's extremely coupled to the abstract SQL engine. So we're going to go back in classes in the SQL engine. Okay, so we have engine. Oh, it's not in classes, it's in abstract. It's an abstract engine. So SQL engine. Now it doesn't use this PDO trait because PDO is not here anymore. Oh no. You don't want to mess with that. Yeah, so we don't use this trait anymore because it's not there. Yeah. So then we can have the beautiful. Okay, so we are going to be using use dash PDO. Okay, now all of these things like this, connect, that, it's not there. Now I've made a mistake again, guys. I've made another mistake. Let me just go and fix it. So this time we have to. There's an engine, right? Supposed to implement the engine interface, but it's a database engine, so we say database engine. Dash F to overwrite the content in here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Our abstract SQL engine is a database engine, but then thank God it's abstract, so that we can just. Wait. We have to implement those methods. Control Z. Okay.
Give me enough pressure.
Abstract SQL engine is a database engine. Okay. Now the children class will have to overwrite this. The children classes will have to override these, and that means they have to be abstract. Because if they are not abstract, oh yeah, they have to be abstract. But then we can't put abstract here. If I say abstract, yeah, we definitely have a problem. Let me see something. Oh, okay. So yeah, it won't cause any problem. We are saved. So with that, we can just go ahead to make all of these abstracts. Abstracts, yeah. Yep. So with this being abstract, now we want to put the connection method there. Yeah. And this time around, we are using the PDO connection. And then you want to have all of these properties like driver, right? So it's protected. Protected string driver. String driver, we have database host. Okay, now I can't put this here. I have to put as you can see, I can't put it there. Yeah, that's the only way it works. The reason I'm putting the type there is just because for the commenting library I'm using to help me do the comments. Not okay. Yeah, I think almost all of these SQL engines have ports, and we have DB name. Okay, DB name. What else do we have with options? With options, if with options is false, with else we are going to pass. Yeah, so with options, so by default we our with options gonna be false, because we actually don't want to have okay, seems like wow, I didn't know that this window is over this other one. Let me minimize it. Okay, it is still not minimized. So let me hide it. So with that, we can continue working. Yep. So we have is it with option? Yeah, bool with option. With option is false by default. So we just use our own default options. But if you are implementing this thing, you actually want to you want to maybe okay, there's no options there. It's just gonna be with option. It's gonna be false. So this is gonna be false. Now we just want to give okay, you give the name to these things in the particular engine you are using. So let's see if we still have any error here. No, we definitely don't have any error. We don't have any error while creating connection. Okay, good. Yeah, that's the whole thing. So in our abstract, we have engine namespace, we have SQL engine, which is an abstract class. And with that said, we can now go back and try to overwrite the engine, the MySQL engine itself. So now this time around, we are going to be extending the abstract SQL engine instead of implementing the database engine interface itself. We will just extend the abstract engine. PHP ZAS make class is an engine, yeah, and it's my SQL engine. My SQL engine, yeah, and the parent class is still engine, but it's an abstract class. Now for this one, we have to put abstract engine so that ZAS can tell that, okay, you are dealing with an abstract class here. If you don't put the abstract there, then it will go ahead to create the parent class in here. So let's do that. Abstract SQL engine. SQL engine. So yeah, we have our parent abstract SQL engine. So let's see what we get. Oh, okay. Wait, what just happened? Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, okay. Now let me wait. Duplicate symbol update. Ah, I'm supposed to use --f. So that we extend the abstract SQL engine. Now it makes sense. So extend abstract SQL engine. Yep. Good. Now we have to connect methods in the SQL engine itself. So we don't have to worry about that. We only need to implement the methods here. Good. Let me see. Yeah. Good. Yeah, let's go ahead and implement the abstract SQL engine. We have things that we have to. I'm going to put this thing on the. I'm going to dock it here so that I'm able to see the. We have some stuff here. So we're going to call our parent constructor first. So it's a parent underscore constructs. We call the parent constructor. Yeah, that's our parent constructor. Then we can go ahead now to set the things like driver and this. Yeah, our driver is MySQL. Okay, now this is where another part comes in. You see, for some of us, we like to abstract things a lot. Now I'm thinking about extending this code. What if we change our but MySQL cannot change its name. It's a constant, eh? So probably we might be using MySQL in some other places. So I think it's better we put that in a constant itself. Okay, so in as much as I am working on this, I'm showcasing the things that ZAS can do, yeah? Okay, and we are wholly following the ZAS itself, ZAS convention, as you can see. Okay. Now with that, let's clear this place. So we want to make a constant. So I'm gonna say PHP ZAS. Say help. I don't know. No. PHP ZAS what? That's PHP ZAS then. Okay. I'm looking for where we can make a constant class constant. So the constant for SQL engine, we have things like the driver. Yeah, driver. What else do we have? Do we rather need to put this in an no, we don't need to put it in a. We can just put it in the abstract engine itself, because but when it gets many, that's when we abstract the thing here away and we put it. But for now, I don't see myself reusing this a lot. So let me just open this and let's work there. So we're gonna create a constant right under this ut. It's gonna be called constant driver underscore MySQL. This is a string. Constants for driver. Yeah, constants for driver, right? We will have other drivers coming in the future, but for now we have MySQL driver, so we're going to use MySQL driver in the MySQL engine. So we know our driver is equal to, this is going to be ourself, right? Let me see something. If I do self, I do colon. Yeah, there you go. But then I don't want to use self colon because we might end up abstracting that thing away. So let me just keep things constant, and I'll just use the abstract SQL engine and the driver SQL itself. This is mainly because in the end we might replace this thing with something like SQL constants or SQL engine constants, and that would be in the constants class. So I don't want that to happen. So that's why okay. It might happen that, and I don't want to go around changing self because I might end up using self for some static methods. So if I just do replace all and change self, I definitely will have some work to do, and I don't want to do that. Right? So with this said, let's go ahead and continue doing what we were doing initially. Yeah, this is how I write code. As we are working, we are just abstracting things away all over the place. Too much abstraction. But the good thing is the autoloader is fast. That's the thing. If the autoloader is fast, then we're good. So now the DB host name we are dealing with here is now I don't know the DB host name. Let me look at the DB host name that we have. I'm just gonna copy this thing. Now, funny enough, options have to be passed in the constructor of an abstract SQL engine. But the thing is, do we really have to? With option, it's forced by default. So just leave it like that. And in the future, if we need to use with options, we'll work on that. So I have gone on to set our localhost, our port number, and the database name, which is an SQL database. But we don't necessarily have to put these things here. We could put them in the constants file, so that when we are changing things, we just change it from there. Yeah, when we are changing things, we change, but it's okay. Let's leave it like this. Yeah, for now, this is a very simple project. We just want to see how we can work with ZAS. I'm here thinking about abstracting things away, and I have a lot of work to do after here. Okay, so given that we have the construct method, what happens if people want to query? So our query method, see, we can implement our own private query method, that will be called by this other query method. So we're gonna say um, let's just call it gonna be a private function query. Ooh, I'm thinking about the name. Private function do query. Yeah, I think that's a very good one. This is because I just want to copy and paste what I have in Steady Smart, the previous one. So I'm gonna be copying things here. Yeah. I'm gonna be copying. Oh yes. Copy paste. Wait, what have I done? I don't know what I've done here. Oh yeah, I understand. I know my error. I know my error. And I was using underscore a lot. Now I want to change them to no more underscores. Okay, you know what? This other query is not it's not safe. Let me go for one of my projects that I did. You know, as I work on more projects, we created better and better database manager. I guess that's what people mean when they say you get better with programming. You know, yeah. So what I want to do now, I'm going to copy something from my database manager class. Ah, good. I think I have it here. I'm just going to copy the whole thing. After all, it is my own code. At least I am not stealing someone's code. Come on. Yeah. And it's going to be a private function. Private function do query. Wait. Is this one not safe as well? This one is also not safe. No way, no way, no way. It's not safe. I'm looking for the one. Okay. I'm going to find the one that was saved. I remember changing everything to prepared statements. So let me look for the save one. Okay. Just give me a minute. So I'm actually looking for the saved query that uses PDO. I don't want to use I don't want to use the one that is not safe. So let me just go to classes, database manager. Okay. Wait. Oh. Wait. No, which one was it? I can't see. Wow. Okay. Still, this one is not very safe. Oh. Yeah. It is safe. It is safe. So probably the one that I pasted over there is safe, right? The one that I pasted is saved. So let me go back there. Yeah, this one is actually saved. I didn't know. Now I know. So with this said, let's make things camel case around the place. I don't like snake case, but I don't know why I found myself using it. It's not a must that you support the fetch all. Okay. Now for the set last query stuff, we don't need the set last query here. This thing was I did it for debugging purposes to see what was the last query I executed on my DB manager. But now, yeah. So that's it for. So this is gonna be. Let me just remove this and put correct things here. A string is an array. Our condition string is a string. It's the one that has the placeholder in them. Then this one is an array. Article is a bool. Fetch all is a bool. Yeah. So then do query will actually call this, and all of the parameters will be in here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna place a comment so that people don't give us parameters that are not there. So it should be let's say okay.
Too many people there to block that.
Okay, it should be like that.
What is that? This thing is passing by itself.
Yeah. And what does it return? Let me see what this one return. It return mixed, eh? Okay. Uh, Now I'm looking for a better way to make this. Um,
It's rather you go to a physical shop. Yeah, because in a physical shop, you will see it, you touch it. If you don't like it, you leave it there. Yeah. If it goes your expectation, it's you.
okay. I'm just gonna say return this do query, and we're gonna just catch up params.
3-0. Yeah. Oh, our boy. I saw you, big man.
Six goals in 1 week.
One of them had champions.
It's a goal. Not been playing in a long time.
Yes. I have a tendency of coming back. Even mine.
But since you came back,
So you know,
you know the worst part.
Okay. So finally, we have managed to make the do query. You see how we are moving? It's like we're moving slowly, but this is because of these abstractions that we have created. That's why. So let me just do this.
for the goal distance.
Very good.
No, but it's good. What's the score?
Now, we have managed to do this one. Let's do the next one. The next one is insert. So we're gonna create an insert function, and I'm also going to copy that one from one of my projects. Like I said, it's just me doing the same thing that we did.
It's a very fair and big deal for you guys.
Which game?
Who else in before? Jesus.
Yeah. It's coming to the end.
This is just game 5.
Oh, man.
I'm not writing this method again from scratch. No way.
You need to score 3 more goals.
Absolutely no way. Yeah.
Oh.
And it's gonna be a private
62.
do insert. Okay, so there is build placeholders function, set last query. We're not gonna have set last query. So build placeholders. You see, when you are running a prepare statement, you have to have those question marks, right? You want to say insert into table values question mark, etc. So this function is supposed to do that. So I'm going to just bring it in here from the past project. So we're just we're just bringing in what we already have, making our development fast. That's what I'm saying. I'm just refactoring code here. Yeah. So now we know for our insert, we need to call do insert.
There's competition as long as they can
This do insert, and we just want to destructure the params array. Yeah, like that. Here's the next function we have. It is delete. So we need to create a do delete method. But I'm just going to copy it again. This started from my past project. So I hope you are following. Yep. Okay. So let me do. This is gonna be a private function. Do delete. I'm removing the last query thing. This is also safe, so we're just gonna call return do delete here. Oh, I'm not commenting. Oh. Let me comment, because else I have to come back to this particular file.
Don't fix it. Like it should be on your responsibility to your head. Otherwise, so you have to go one of those three weeks. Just to say, no, this was wrong. Doing a week for this once.
Okay. The same thing goes for this. String. This thing should not be it should not be snake case. I don't like snake case. They waste my time to write underscore. Huh. So I'm just gonna clear this one and let's have a new type of comment. This is just bool. Yep. This one definitely return a string. So we want our parameters to be organized just like that. We don't want to have should be like that, and then we paste this. That's the parameter. I think this is also a boolean, because do delete return is a bool. Then finally we have updates. We are about to be done with this engine. We are about to be done with that engine. So let's copy the do update. I'm going to copy the update method. then here, let's do that. But I want to do it here. It's a private function. Private function do update. String table. String, the column string. We do array. That's a string. And this one here is also a string. Then we do values like that. So we don't have set this thing. We'll do it later on.
You use the name or
Okay. We're good with this do update, which is private. Let's create our. What are we returning? We're returning a boolean, and then we want specific set of parameters. So the good thing is different engine will have different parameters, and that's the best thing about this. So depending on the engine, you pass the parameters. The set of parameters will affect the coupling. However, it won't affect it that much. It won't really affect it that much because we could not know beforehand what would be the type of parameters needed for a particular engine. Um, we can decide to put a fixed parameter like but not every engine will have column, right? Might not every engine will have column. Not every engine will have ID is this and etc. So if you are dealing with no SQL engines, you definitely won't have these different things like column, blah blah blah. So you definitely now want to, have you could put another layer over it, like the way we have the abstract SQL engine. We could we could you know create other functions that pass specific parameters that are required for an SQL query. But I think that will just be a lot of work. It will just be an extreme decoupling we want to do here now. Um, but since this is a simple project, let's just do it like that. And we just want to scatter the params. Okay. Actually, we don't want the client to know a lot about the